Hi, welcome to Promo Insiders, an ASI media podcast that covers the issues that matter most to the promotional products industry. I'm Chris Ruvo for ASI. If there's one issue of supreme importance to the merch market, it's the state of the economy. Promo sales performance tends to trend in the general direction of GDP. As such, knowing where things truly stand with the economy and where they're headed is pivotal for promo leaders. Thankfully, my guest today can offer a powerful perspective on just that. Dr. Mary Kelly is an internationally known economist and the CEO of Productive Leaders, a firm dedicated to leadership and economic development. She is currently listed as one of the most influential economists and business strategists, and as a business advisor, she has worked with hundreds of organizations and companies across the globe. If that's not impressive enough, there's also the fact that she's a graduate of the United States Naval Academy and served 25 years on active duty. You'll be able to see Mary speak in person at the ASI Power Summit, being held October 13th through the 15th at the Rancho Bernardo Inn in San Diego, California. Today, we're going to get a little sneak preview of her insights and discuss related topics. Mary, sorry for that long preamble, but you have an impressive resume, so it takes a second to get through. Thank you for being with me today.
Chris, I am so excited to be with you and your folks at the show and today because there's a lot going on. There's a lot we have to discuss.
Very good. So let's do that. Let's jump into this first question, which is this. It kind of feels like there's been a fair deal of conflicting data on the state of the economy. As we enter the fourth quarter, what is the state of the American and global economies?
That is a great question. And first off, the U.S. economy right now is pretty darn okay. That's a big technical economic term, pretty darn okay.
Right.
What I mean by that is first quarter, our GDP growth was only about 1.4%. Our second quarter, though, was better at 3%. Our third quarter started to drop, and here's why. So down by, the official numbers are now, but it's about 2.4%.
Okay.
And again, as the promotional products industry goes, it does track right along with GDP growth. Mm-hmm. So a couple things that our folks need to be paying attention to is what's going to happen next. So right now, we're okay. The biggest disruptor to the U.S. economy right now, shockingly, our own elections.
Sure.
And here's why. Our own elections are causing people, because they simply don't know what's going to change next, it's causing people to not spend. And when people are feeling hesitant, and we know this from the Consumer Sentiment Index out of the University of Michigan, they tend to not feel, and that's a tough one when you're an economist, they
Sure.
tend to not feel as good about spending. And this affects the promotional products world. So right now, heading into fourth quarter, the economy is actually okay. The stock market has given us unbelievably good returns this year. But the reason people don't feel okay about the economy is when they look at their portfolio from 2 and 3 years ago and they look at it now, even though it looks like the stock market numbers are higher, their portfolio numbers aren't higher. And they're wondering why. And the issue there, and I'm just going to touch on it real fast because I know
absolutely, please.
Time, is because in 2022, the market did nothing. It went down by, and by nothing, I mean it crashed by about 20% for the S&P 500, about 33% for NASDAQ. So it's math. It's easy math, but I try to explain it to people. If you have $100 and you make 20%, you're up to $120. Everybody understands that. But if you have $100 and you're down by 20%, you have $80. But you only make back 20%, you still only have $96. Yeah. And so people are looking at their
coming out behind in a nutshell. Yeah.
And they just don't feel good about it. And remember, the market didn't do anything worth mentioning in 2023 until last November. What happened in November? AI. AI hit free and everywhere, and all of a sudden the top 7 companies spiraled things and carried the rest of the market with it. So thankfully for that, we've seen this boost, although it's a little bit artificial and a little bit too concentrated in one area, but we've seen a boost, and that's helping people, again, feel better. The big question is, what's going to happen after the elections?
Right. And that's actually my next question for you. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but based on just your experience, what you're seeing currently, do you have a sense of where things are going to go in 2025? Is it contingent on the results of the election? Is it just contingent on the election being over? What are you seeing?
You're kind of right about just the election being over. The
Hmm.
market and decision makers do not like uncertainty. We can take bad news. We can hear bad news that our taxes are going to go up, corporate taxes are going to go up, personal property taxes are going to go up. We can handle bad news. What we
Hmm.
don't like is uncertainty. It's kind of that same feeling as when you're a teenager and your dad says, "We'll talk about this in the morning." Yeah, you don't
Hmm.
sleep that night because you're like, "No, it's that
What's going to
uncertainty.
happen? Yeah.
What's going to happen?" So, whatever happens in November, I just need to tell people that the economic machine that is the US economy, and we are the largest economy in the world right now at $28 trillion, not much is going to change in the next 6 months or a year because the things that are already in place are going to stay in place. Magical things don't happen just because a new person gets elected. For tax issues and other issues, we still have to get congressional input. We
Great
still have
point.
to have all of that. So for the next year, things look pretty solid, regardless of who winds up being elected.
Okay, well that's some good news. Even with that said, though, there's of course challenges, some of which you've pointed to already. Do you have any advice for business leaders, either in promo or even more broadly, things that they should be doing to kind of bulwark their business against some of those potential challenges?
So, a few things. Number one, first, look hard at your numbers right now. Number one, it is the number one thing where I see CEOs, business owners, decision makers, they will either just believe the monthly report they get every month and not ask a lot of questions, or they
Okay.
don't look at it closely enough, or maybe they're not numbers people and they don't really like having to look at it. The number one thing I tell people right now is when you're facing uncertainty,
Hmm.
look at your numbers. And by
Okay.
that, it's look at every job, every position,
Hmm.
every expenditure, and make sure that all of your expenditures are aligned with your business vision,
Hmm.
mission, and goals. And let's face it, Chris, a lot of people hired people during COVID just
Hmm.
because they were so worried about the unemployment numbers that they just
Hmm.
hired anybody who could fog a mirror, didn't bother to onboard them, didn't bother to train them. And
Hmm.
now it's 2.5 years later, and they're wondering why these people aren't productive.
Right.
Now's a good time to fix that or fire it.
To correct it.
Because
Okay.
because in any kind of uncertainty, you want to make sure your numbers are rock solid and that every single person is doing what you need them to do. And this means your expenditures too.
Yeah.
Number two, make sure you've got a rock solid business plan for 2025 and beyond. And most business plans, they look at maybe where you might want to go, but they don't always break it down.
Okay.
At our summit in Rancho Bernardo, which is going to be amazing, I show people a graphic, and it's people, tools, and technology, how to manage uncertainty, and then how to grow the business. And in the center of all that is your value proposition. And when we think about that, a lot of times in our strategic planning, we don't bother to include things like how are we going to manage uncertainty when our people are feeling polarized, when they are.
Hmm.
I got to tell you, Chris, feelings are hard for me. I'm a trained engineer.
Yeah.
Turned economist.
Sure.
Feelings are hard. But when people are feeling disenfranchised, they're
Yeah.
feeling lonely, they're feeling less connected, they're less productive. So that needs to be part of our
Great point.
strategic plan. I'm going to
Great
go over
point.
more of that at the ASI Summit. And then number three, we have to help our clients. And by that, I mean lead our clients to making good decisions for their business, which means, especially for the promotional products, for the marketing aspect of our world, we have to know their business, know their challenges, and then, in my mind, our top goal for our clients has to be how do we make our clients the only choice, not just one of several choices,
Hmm.
but the only choice. And we do that with our promotional products for sure, but also our marketing, conveying that value, helping our clients convey that value to their clients. So one of the things I'm excited about for the summit is the tools that I get to bring to the audience, which is
Okay.
then something they can share with their clients and say, hey, I found this tool. It's totally free for you to use, and you might want to take a look at it. Again, we want our clients, customers, to view them as the only choice. We want to be the only choice. We don't want them saying, oh, I could go here, 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 here. No, 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 no. just to us, always to us. And then the fourth bonus idea for making sure our business really is recession proof. It really is recession proof, is making sure that our people have the tools they need, actionable tools every single day to do their job as well as possible. And this doesn't mean doing more with less. I don't like that. For 25 years in the Navy, my boss, I think every boss always told me we have to do more with less. We've got fewer people, fewer resources, fewer stuff. Oh, we get so tired of hearing that. No, it means being more efficient and more effective because we have the right tools, the right people, and the right resources in place. So we want to take a look at all of that. And then as an economist, of course, I worry about things like jobs and wages and housing and interest rates and all of that. And we're going to cover all that too.
Great stuff. That was, I think, a 10-minute master's degree right there. That if you listen to that and you implemented everything you just said, how could you possibly go wrong? So, Mary, great stuff. We're kind of pushing up against it a little bit. Let me just ask you for final thoughts. Just any final thoughts, big takeaways, things you're excited to talk about at the Power Summit?
For many people, they may have taken an economics class and maybe they hated it. I had those same classes, and probably the same teachers. We're going to break down some of the economic things that my decision makers and business owners really need to know into concepts that everybody can understand. I make fun of economics because I'm an economist. I get to do that.
Okay.
And we're going to not just say this is where we've been, here's the past. We're also going to talk about where we're going in the future. I will do a little bit on AI. I know we're all already sick of AI, but I have a really cool business tool for my business owners on AI that will help them map the world forward, because we're not losing jobs to AI. We're losing people who can use AI. Those are the jobs that are being lost. And it's how to strengthen both your competitive as well as your comparative advantage in the marketplace. So we're going to get just enough economics to be a little bit dangerous moving forward, figuring out what's going to happen next. And then we're going to answer the question of, what do I do about it as a business leader? And that's what I'm really excited about, because we have to make good decisions. And Chris, you and I saw this during COVID too. A lot of people just decided not to make any decisions because they didn't want to be
Great point. Wrong. Yeah, and that is making a decision in some ways, right? Yeah.
A ship in the middle of the ocean has to pick a direction and go in that direction, and we kind of want to make sure it's the right direction. So that's what we're going to do.
Very good. Mary Kelly, CEO of Productive Leaders, is going to be speaking at the ASI Power Summit October 13th through the 15th. Mary, thank you so much for giving us a sneak preview. Great stuff.
Can't wait to see everybody in Rancho Bernardo. Take care.